known for this. So next on the agenda, we get to hear from an individual who has really made a name for herself with determination and humor. Maysoon Zayid was born with cerebral palsy and raised in New York. As an actress, comedian, writer, and disability advocate, she has definitely broken barriers for people with disabilities. Maysoon is the co-founder, co-executive producer of the New York Arab American Comedy Festival and the Muslim Funny Fest. She appeared alongside Adam Sandler in You Don't Mess with the Zohan and has written for Vice. She has also a deep interest in politics, and she's actually involved also in a power pack to support Democratic women running for state office. I'm happy to introduce you guys to our next short presentation from Maysoon.
I am Maysoon Zayid, and it is such a privilege to get to virtually talk to you all at the ARC of California's 15th Annual Developmental Disability Public Policy Conference. Gosh, that is a very long name. Clap for me, I got it right. For those of you who can't see me, I look like the lost Kardashian. I have cinnamon skin, long black wavy hair, and I'm wearing some sparkly red Jessica Rabbit lipstick. And for those of you who don't know me, in the Oppression Olympics, I would win a gold medal. I'm Palestinian, I'm Muslim, I'm a woman of color, I'm disabled, I'm divorced, and I live in New Jersey. If you don't feel better about yourself, maybe you should. Also, there is no Oppression Olympics, and if there was one, I wouldn't win it. Yes, I have 99 problems and palsy is one, but I also have a lot of privilege. I have talking verbal privilege. I don't have to deal with the impatience of people not willing to wait to hear me communicate. I have walking privilege, so I don't have to feel bad when my friends forget to call up the place we're going to celebrate their birthday to see if it's wheelchair accessible. I have a house. That's also a privilege that so many in the disability community don't currently have. It's very important to remember both of these things. Each one of our oppressions is our own. It's not a competition. It's okay to have a bad day, even if someone else is having one that's worse. It's also extremely important to remember our privilege. And there are days where we feel like there are none, that the entire world is against us. But it does exist, and it's important to know and identify yours. This past 2 years has been like a movie, mostly a bad movie. I know it's been hard on so many people in the disco. The disco is what I call the disability community. Get it? Disco. Welcome to the disco. That's my world. We've had a pretty hard 2 years. There's been a complete disregard for the disabled community. The fact that so many people with disabilities in assisted living had to battle COVID. The fact that so many of our friends and our family didn't make it through to the other side, but you did. And it is time to celebrate. I'd like to stop talking about pandemics and start talking about Disney. How many people dream of going to Disney? How many people have been to Disney? In the before time, which is what I call the time before COVID and before the pandemic and before vaccines, the before time. In the before time, I used to love to go to Disney World because if you've never been there, Disney World has the longest lines in the world, longer than the DMV, longer than security at the airport, longer than the return line at Target. These lines are so long that they literally have signs along the lines warning you how much longer you have to wait to go on their 15-second ride. So they have signs that say like 2-hour wait from here, or hang in there, buddy, it's 90 minutes, or you're almost there, just half an hour more. I used to love to go to Disney as a kid because, fun fact, if you're disabled like us, you get to cut the lines at Disney. I would go on rides that were like super popular, like Space Mountain, 15 times. Then I would come out to the line and I would find a child that was blazing, kind of on fire in the sun. They were like red tomatoes about to burst into marinara. And I'd be like, hang in there, kid. It's totally worth it. I just went on Space Mountain 15 times. And Space Mountain wasn't even my most favorite ride. My favorite ride was called the Mad Hatter's Tea Party. It's like an Alice in Wonderland thing. You sit in a giant teacup and then they spin you around really quickly. And I loved this ride because anytime I rode it, I would walk off and walk straight for like 6 minutes. I was like, oh my Allah, this place is actually magical. But it all went bad because non-disabled people started renting disabled people like us so that they could cut the lines at Disney. They got caught, and now nobody's allowed to cut the lines. And it's no longer the happiest place on earth. And I just wish that I could have been one of those tour guides before they got caught, because I would have made it a teachable moment. I would have taken the kids away from their parents, and I would have been like, hey, Timmy and Sally. I wouldn't care what their names actually were. I would just call them Timmy and Sally. I'd be like, hey, Timmy and Sally, mommy and daddy did a very, very bad thing. And you're just one little accident away from being just like me. So hold on tight, kids. Now, who wants to go on Space Mountain? Disability does not discriminate. You can join our group at any time, whether you want to or not. Disability doesn't discriminate based on race, religion, age, gender, class, or who you love. Everybody is welcome at the disco. I think we should all be a lot more like disability, don't you? I want to talk a little bit about bullying. I grew up in an Italian Catholic town with 33,000 Italian Catholics and 6 Arab Muslims who were all my family. I was the only visibly disabled child in my class, but I was never bullied. I was never made fun of until I grew up and I made my television debut. My whole life, I dreamt of tap dancing on Broadway or being on the daytime soap opera General Hospital. And I finally made my television debut. I went online to Google what people had to say about me, expecting them to say things like, she's so hot. That's the funniest woman I've ever seen. And instead, the entire internet was making fun of me. See, I never mentioned my cerebral palsy. I didn't talk about my disability when I made my TV debut because that wasn't the subject at hand. But the people watching were so not used to seeing disability that they didn't know what to make of me. So they posted comments on the YouTube like, is she drunk? That looks like Botox gone wrong. And those were the nice people. The not so nice people said that they wanted to rip my lips off of my face because they were so annoying. We grew up being told that sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And that is simply not true. Words matter. Never be the person who says something that causes another person to doubt themselves, hate themselves, or harm themselves. If you feel the need to spew hate, please Google cats on glass tables instead. You will thank me. The world is broken, but we can make it a better place by fighting for equality for all, including every single one of us in the disco. My name is Maysoon Zayid, and if I can Arc of California, you can.